All right, who's getting excited? Okay. All right, we're gonna have an opportunity to hear some of these people that showed up on the video to, give their heart a little bit more about why ECA is important and why we need ECA in this time, in this generation for our children. The next speaker we're gonna have is Dr. Kenneth Briscoe. Dr. Kenneth Briscoe Jr. is a licensed minister and co-founder and CEO of Excelsior Christian Academy. He envisions empowering and equipping believers in the body of Christ to excel in their God-given calling. He hopes to eliminate illiteracy with education, spiritual death through discipleship, and come against poverty by helping to raise up discipled entrepreneurs. Through education with training and the use of economic development as a tool, he believes this will help believers to have a discipled entrepreneur spirit and equip our next generation for the future. Dr. Ken is a licensed tax professional, a serial entrepreneur who has launched several successful businesses, helped many people to launch their own for-profit businesses and nonprofit organizations. He is married to his childhood sweetheart, Laverne, and has 2 adult daughters and 2 grandchildren. Dr. Ken?
I'm actually going to use the PowerPoint, so I wanted to bring my computer up here and look at the slides. Before I actually get started, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out, for being a part of us. Amen? And as Dr. Reagan said, I'm a co-founder and CEO of Excelsior Christian Academy. But why co-founder? It's because actually 4 years, I keep thinking 3, but actually 4 years ago, I started a company called E1 Learning. And I had this idea of wanting to have charter schools and focus on entrepreneurship. And I had an angel funder who's been promised, still promising, I ain't seen nothing yet, but that's okay. Still promised me this money. So I'm waiting, and I gathered together an amazing team. Actually, 2 of those folks are here right now. I want to thank y'all for being here. But then when I met Pastor Ruth and Yearning, before he passed, but when we began to talk, and her love for the Lord, it made me realize, no, I got this thing twisted. I need to start with God first. Put him first. And so I realized her and her daughter had a passion to have a school. Pastor Ruth had a whole lot of passions, but definitely the school. And Judy was one of talked about it. And so as they kept saying, I said, wait, I got that, and I want to do that. So we decided to come together. And so we're focusing on a virtual Christian school. And like and you'll hear more. I'm just going to give you, imagine a funnel. You know a funnel? So my good friend, CP, I thank God for him. He's one of our advisors. Hallelujah. But he gave you a broader sense. And now I'm going to give you bring in just a little bit more, but you'll hear more in depth about ECA from Pastor Ruth and Judy. So, I want to start with a scripture first, and it's Matthew chapter 5. I'm going to read it to you because on my PowerPoint, I just brought out just some points that I want you to see. But the actual scripture, it reads, "You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned? It is then good for nothing, but to be trodden out and trampled underfoot by men. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." So right here, number one, you are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its flavor, it's good for nothing. Number two, you are the light of the world. Your light cannot be hidden. Let your light so shine. Number three, we know what darkness is, what I was trying to say. We will know how to be light and not lose our salty flavor. What I'm going to explain to you, I'm going to talk about salt and light and how we want our children to be exactly what God created them to be. But I'm going to also mention how we can lose that saltiness, how we cannot be the light, and it's really in our power. Hallelujah. Got me some help. All right. Now, some of you may know some of these companies and organizations, and some of them may not even you've never heard of. But I want to tell you that these companies and organizations are at minimum nationally known, if not globally known. Okay, I was being a little funny, but I'm serious. I'm prophesying. You down here, you see Excelsior Christian Academy among that list. Yeah. What do they all have in common? I don't know if the battery died.
You got it.
Thank you, sir. Got my help. Let me go back. Oh, that's it. All right. The one thing that they all had in common is to be able to thinking a different perspective. You can't think the same. In other words, what's that little saying? If you're expecting different results and you think the same thing, it ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. So number one, they are trying to come up with a solution for the future of our children. Every one of those organizations. Number two, they know in 5 to 11 years there will be a job shortage if we fail to act. And you may think, really? Absolutely. I could stand here for 2 hours and give you data after data to let you know that these brilliant minds are trying to let us know ahead of time what's happening. So we're comfortable. Some of us, right now, most of us, we like our job, but what about our generation that's coming up? The thing is, it's not that they won't have jobs. Yes, there will be jobs, plenty of jobs. The point is, they won't be able to do them because they lack the education needed to be able to solve those solutions. America Global Impact is slowly fading away. Number 4, the answer is before us. God first, innovation, customized learning. Now, one of those organizations up there was Hoover Institute. They actually is a division of Stanford University. It says in America in 2030. So that may strain your eyes, but I will try to read. I'll read some. I won't read all of it. In 2030, curriculum, students engaging with curriculum in web-based environment, it will be involved in virtual learning, basically. The American student will be devoted in 2030 and spending their entire time, hours of learning. Not what we see now. In other words, there will be 7 hours a day of learning. They will be on the weekends. I'm just kind of giving you an overview. On the weekends, trying to have tutors to prepare them so that they can just make it. because they can't afford the job, so they have to do well in school. The nation has come to realize that more time is devoted to learning leads to a higher achievement. The higher achievement leads to better lives for children and for a better nation. By 2030, they're going to have vouchers. You know, we've been hearing that, but for sure, vouchers. Publicly or privately funded scholarships awarded directly to families to pay for private school tuition and sustain them will be, most folks will be displaced if they're not in the schools that's teaching them to be productive. So in other words, you may like this school over here, but I'm sorry, they're just not teaching you what you need to. So the parents, let's say, wait a minute, because every one of us that are parents or soon to be parents, we want to make sure our child is educated and have a strong foundation. Not just in the word, but also to be able to live in this world, to have an income, a good living. And what it's trying to let you know that unless we're willing to make some changes, it's not going to happen. This is just more information. This is the U.S. The U.S. will not have enough educated workers. It's not going to happen. The future is changing. Look large on my screen. Yeah, magnify.